Hey friend, welcome to my kitchen. I'm so glad you're here to cook with me today. When I head into the kitchen, I always turn on my favorite music and I grab something yummy to drink. So I've got my tea, you go grab yours, and then we'll head to the kitchen together. Hey friends, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Mindy. I'm the farmer here at Little Red Farm. We have a raw milk dairy farm in Nebraska, but today we're not milking cows. On YouTube, we make yummy stuff. It has been said that flowers to a woman is like banana bread is to a man. So if you have someone special that you want to cook a treat for, this is the one you want to use. So let's start with our ingredients. You're going to need flour. I'm using organic whole wheat flour. You could use bread flour or all-purpose. It's going to be just fine. It's not going to ruin your recipe. You can use white flour. You're just probably going to need to reduce your baking time. Sugar, you could use raw sugar, white sugar. If you're doing honey or something, a major substitution like that, I can't make promises on that one. I have not done that. You need 3 bananas. If you have bananas that are getting really soft and you don't know what to do with them, peel them, throw them in a Ziploc bag in your freezer. And then when you're ready to make banana bread or smoothies, pull those out. So you don't have to throw them away. Just catch them before they're full on black and withered. They can be brown and they'll still go in the freezer and work great. You need 2 eggs. These are from my chickens. If you can't tell, I have rainbow layers because it makes me happy. 1 stick of butter. You will need baking soda. Yes, I keep my baking soda in here because sometimes I get heartburn, and if you sprinkle some baking soda in water and swallow it, it'll make you burp and get rid of your heartburn. There's your pro tip for the day. Salt. You need a pumpkin pie spice. I'm not a pumpkin spice latte girl, but this and banana bread, you're going to love it. Vanilla, let's go over and see what equipment you need. Okay, you're going to need 1 bowl for wet ingredients, 1 bowl for dry ingredients. You're going to need a regular size loaf pan. I like to use glass. I forgot to turn my oven on. Let's do that now, shall we? You're going to turn your oven on to 350. Okay, we got our 2 bowls. We got our loaf pan. You're going to need butter and flour for your loaf pan, or you can just use butter and parchment paper. This works slick as a whistle. You're going to love it. So if you have that, try that. And then you just need a mixer, or you need to just really get a workout with your hand. But this is going to make your life a lot easier. I will throw the link for this one on the blog post. If you want the recipe, go to thelittleredfarm.com, go to the menu, click the Little Red Farm on blog, and it's going to take you to the blog with all the recipes, and we'll have links for ingredients and stuff if you want them. Otherwise, just use what you have in your kitchen. All right, let's get this made. You're going to need some softened butter. I don't recommend melting it all the way because you're going to be adding raw eggs to it. And if your butter's really hot, it's going to cook the eggs, and then you're going to be sad because you're going to get lumpy egg bits in your bread. And that's just gross. I don't use my microwave very often, but usually it's for something like this. If you remember to set your butter out early enough, you don't have to do this. But 30 seconds will do ya. And then we can cream our butter with our bananas. You just want your butter softened a little bit. And if you want to mash your bananas with a fork, you can, but you don't have to. All right, once you've got the logs gone, then just turn that up and just start making a nice creamy paste out of it. The more ripe your bananas are, the easier they are going to mush up and blend in. I have roosters and farm chickens. Most of the time, my eggs are just fine, but I always crack them in a separate bowl just in case there's a surprise. No surprises today. So you're going to put in your 2 eggs. You're going to put in your vanilla. Told you this before, but your cap is about 1 teaspoon. If you don't mind a little mess, that works real good. So we got 2 cups of flour. No, I don't sift it. I'm really all about not making life harder on myself. There are enough things on a farm and in life that, you know what, we don't need to make life harder. And it'll cook up just fine. Are there some recipes you have to do that with? Yes, there are. This, in my experience, is not one of them. 1 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of baking soda. Sometimes baking soda can have those little lumpies in it. Make sure it doesn't. If you need to just run it through your fingers, go ahead and do that. half a teaspoon of salt. And then I usually use a couple of teaspoons. If you really, really don't like pumpkin pie spice, you can just use cinnamon. But I recommend using cinnamon and a little bit of nutmeg if you're gonna not use this. So if you need a substitution, cinnamon and nutmeg. You're gonna take a whisk, you're gonna stir all your dry ingredients together because that way everything's gonna incorporate and you're not gonna get lumpies in your bread. Ready? We're gonna do this a little bit at a time. This is gonna be thicker than a cake batter, soupier than a bread dough. Okay, that's your goal for texture. Also, your goal is not to get flour all over your kitchen. So that's why we do this slowly, because as much as I don't mind messes, I really do try for the most part not to make more than I have to. All right, there's the last of it. Next, I'm gonna grab a little tiny bit of butter out of the fridge. And I know it seems weird to put butter in and then put parchment paper in, but you can put butter in and then you can flour it if you want. But sometimes, especially sweetbreads, like to stick to the bottom of your pan. So we're gonna use parchment paper and that'll make sure that the bottom releases. Also, this is the point where if you want chocolate chips, you can add that to your bread. I might add this to one. I did not add it to my last loaf. I'll show you the loaf without it as well when we get done putting this one in the oven. Make sure you push down on the bottom first. Let the butter stick. And then you're going to try to do it flat on the sides as well. I should have gotten a little bit more. And then kind of fold. I'm sure someone has a better way to do this, but we just like to wing things here. So pretend you're like wrapping a present and fold a little crease in the corner and it'll be fine. All right, we're gonna add 1 cup of chocolate chips. I know 1 cup doesn't seem like a lot, but I promise you, this is gonna be a lot of chocolate chips in every slice. So I know you're going to be tempted to add more, but stick with just 1 cup. And then we're just going to fold them in. You're not going to use your mixer. You don't want to chop them up. Just going to kind of fold. And then we're going to put this all in. See what I mean? Like it's not bread dough consistency, but it's not runny quite like a cake. And then you're going to make sure that you spread this to the corners, because it is thick enough that it doesn't like to level out on its own like a cake would. 70 minutes in the oven, and then we're going to check it with a toothpick. Put it on the middle rack, close her up, and let her be. All right, our timer just went off on our banana bread. We're going to take a peek in the oven here. Oh my goodness, look at that. It looks so good. Don't look at my dirty oven. We do real life over here, friends. All right, you're going to take your toothpick. You're going to stick it in. Came out clean. There's nothing on it. So that means she's ready to come out of the oven. Okay, stop. Turn off your oven. Okay. My children used to do that for me and they don't live here anymore. So now I have to make a conscious effort. All right, when you're cooking breads, ideally you're taking it out of the pan shortly after it comes out of the oven, because otherwise as it cools, it kind of sticks to the pan. So breads, muffins, got to pull her out. If you're baking something like cookies on a tray, a lot of times you want to let cookies cool just a little bit. Otherwise they'll fall apart when you take them off the pan. But we're dealing with bread today. So I'm going to use this stuff all the time from now on. Look at that, you guys. She's beautiful. All right, this is my loaf that I made earlier. This one does not have chocolate chips, but look how nice that parchment paper worked. Like, it's just so pretty. And then you don't have to worry, especially the chocolate chips, like to stick to the bottom of the pan. So you're going to be better off if you use the parchment paper. Has a nice little crust on it, a little toasty crust. And look how beautiful that is, you guys. It's also very delicious. So you can toast it, you can put a little butter on it, and this does freeze well. So it's almost just as easy to make 2 loaves at once, especially if you have some ripe bananas. You don't have to change anything other than double your ingredients and the size of your bowl so you don't make a mess like I did. But then you could throw it in the freezer. You could eat 1 loaf, have one in backup, and then the next time you want something yummy, just pull it out and it's ready to go. So that's something that I've learned. Our kids moved out of the house within the past year or 2, and so I've always cooked for about 4 to 6 people. So at first, I'm going to have to start figuring out how to cut all my recipes back. And then I got smarter instead and realized I need to just make the same amount and put half in the freezer. And it's been so wonderful just being able to basically shop my own freezer for a meal when we need something quick. And it's still homemade, it's still delicious, but it's not something you have to work on. So it's the same idea with candy. Yes, you're putting the work in, but you're combining it into one session versus doing little pieces all the time. And then you still get wonderful food. If you want to impress someone, give them some banana bread, show them some love, and you can even show yourself some love and make yourself some banana bread and have something yummy to eat any time of the day. All right, have a good week, friends. We'll see you soon. And then we can add our bananas and our eggs. Nope. Maybe I should have picked a bigger bowl. Recipe does say 1 cup. Whoopsie-doo.